You get a new rooftop. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's true. And if you do that, we'll give you a medal for that. We tried it for 2 years.
Sounds good. Okay.
For 3 years.
And there's Hobbick is coming. He's going to be president of the MCHC, Medina County Historical Group. Who goes to barbecue? But he sounds like he wants to give money.
Oh. Okay.
Which is nice because they've been giving money for 10, 15 years.
How long has he been the mayor?
Oh, he's been the mayor for like 20 years.
I heard it's a 6-year term.
Yeah, you can.
Y'all are live again.
Are we on?
Yeah.
But this is a separate thing. They're not the ones that fund it are the. Yeah. That's why they have the barbecue is to generate funds.
You're kidding.
Oh, I got a water.
Yep.
Oh, I got another. That's not yours. I got another water. I got a bunch of water. Mr. Lee?
So Deborah, let you know, Joe just texted me. He said the dates that is showing for this meeting is 4/28/2028.
It's in the future.
Well,
Sorry.
Back
Oh,
to
it
the
does say
future.
that. I'm sorry. I'll fix it. I can't right now, but I can.
Oh yeah. No.
We'll get to it.
all right. It is now 6:05 p.m. on Tuesday, April 28th. We are on, right? Okay, we're going to call this reconvene this meeting back in open session. Let's go ahead and let's start with a roll call, please.
Sheena Martinez, District 1.
Houston Marchman, District 2.
Phil King, District 3.
David Mers Jr. for District 4.
Robert Lee, District 5.
And Bruce Alexander, Mayor. If you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Mr. Ballard, would you please come and lead us in an invocation, please?
Father, we come together as a community to honor you and to bless you in everything that we do. And so, Father, I pray that our thoughts and our hearts and our things that we would say would be seasoned with goodness and seasoned with beauty and seasoned with forgiveness. And Father, that we would be a community, a one community, Father God, and that would glorify our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So we love you and we bless you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Ballard. So y'all that don't know, Mr. Ballard was once a city councilman. Got to sit up here with us too. So thank you, Terry. All right, let's move on to citizens' comments. Excuse me. Before I say that, anybody that wanted to speak, there's a sign-up paper back there that you're welcome to fill out and turn in before an item comes up on the agenda, and it'll give you an opportunity to speak during that agenda item. Okay. The City Council will hear comments from any citizen or visitor. Speakers must address their comments to the presiding officer rather than individual council members or staff. Stand at this podium, speak clearly into the microphone, and state your name, residential address before speaking. Speakers will be allowed a maximum of 3 minutes for testimony. In accordance with the State Open Meetings Act, the City Council is restricted from discussing and taking action, bless you, on items not listed on the agenda. Action can only be taken at a future meeting. This time we'll open it up for citizens' comments. Please state your name and address first, please.
I'm Karen Brunaire, 112 River Forest, Castroville, Texas. I'm just here to beat the dead horse once again. I noticed on this agenda that there is a topic concerning forensic investigations of correspondence with regard to the airport. And I would like to see a forensic investigation done on all communications between this city council, the individual council members, the employees of the city, and the developers, so that the city might be able to figure out how we got to the point of adding thousands and thousands of homes in this EJT and city when we are under stage 4 water restriction for the past 5 years.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else would like to make some citizens' comments? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Fifield. I'm sorry, I'm tongue-tied.
That's all right.
Name and address, please.
Karen Pine, 805 Washington Street here in our lovely suburb of Castroville.
Yes, ma'am.
No snickering yet. Anyway, speaking about documentation and stuff, at any point, is this council going to allow regular citizens to know, see, peruse in the contracts that were reached with the developers that have come in and made a nightmare out of our little town? That's number one. Number two, has anyone got any actual documentation where they've gone to TxDOT and tried to get these lights synchronized so the traffic, I mean, from 3 o'clock till 7 o'clock, if you don't go to a light, you're not getting out. Or you can play Frogger. You can jump to the middle and then wait and then jump over. But I've been told on more than one occasion that that is actually technically against the law. But I also have no patience, so I'm not going to sit there. But anyway, and number three, you know how everybody, and I'm guilty of it, I promise you, everybody on Highway 90, when it's coming up to your turn, your intersection, your street, whatever, about 90% of us will move over onto the shoulder, okay, to make that turn. Technically, that's not legal. However, given the traffic we've got right now, if those people were to stay in the right lane with their signal on and try to make that turn onto whatever street they're going onto, they're going to back up traffic even more horribly than they do now. My suggestion would be paint an arrow on it. Let people turn legally and call it a day. Simple, easy, done. That's it.
Okay, I just want to, we're not going to have a discussion, but I'm going to give you a fact answer on one.
Perfect.
The development agreements are posted on the city's website. And if you have any questions about where to find them, please contact Deborah. She'll
Oh,
point you right to that. Am I correct?
Well, it's under the community development, yes. But that part, yes.
okay. I need help because that number one website is very hard to navigate.
Yeah.
It took her and I both forever even to see the agenda for tonight, trying to get to it. But yes, that would be lovely. I will give you a call.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mhm.
Is there anyone else would like to make citizens' comments? As I normally do, I'm going to ask a second time to make sure. Does anyone else like to make citizens' comments? Hearing none, we'll move on. Thank y'all. Move on to consent agenda. The consent agenda is item A, the minutes for April 14th, regular called council meeting. And B, the adoption of an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Section 1, council policy, rules, and procedures. C, council meetings, times, and postings. And G, agenda item submission deadlines, ordinance 2009 through 2006 of the Code of Ordinances. If I would entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the consent agenda items. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. All right, let's move to the mayor's report. Really quick. Of course, I typed it up, so I'm only 5 pages, so here we go. The Alsatian visitors to Castroville over the last week to 2 weeks. I just want to let, for everyone that may not know, most people know this, but over the past week or so, the city of Castroville was joined by several individuals in hosting a group of students from Alsace along with their teachers and others, to work on a film that, among other things, highlights the ties Castroville has with Alsace. Councilman King and his wife Mary hosted a dinner last week where we were able to meet and greet everyone and share stories about Castroville and Alsace. They were able to, the Alsatians were able to join us at the Castroville Alsatian Festival this last Saturday evening before their departure home on Sunday. During the visit, they were able to interview many residents of Castroville and Medina County for the upcoming film they're making. A follow-up interview will be done in Alsace with myself and my wife when we join others on a trip to Alsace for the annual Medina County Barbecue scheduled for September. And I understand, Phil, you and a group are going next week.
So Mary and I.
You're married. Okay, wonderful. So the ties are strong, so I just wanted to pass that on. The second thing I wanted to talk about was the National Rural Water Policy Forum. For y'all that may not know, that on April 16th, I was joined with the executive director of the Texas Rural Water Association, and people from Utah and South Carolina and Washington, D.C. served on a panel discussion concerning successes of a small rural water system. There is currently a movement across the country, primarily driven by large investor-owned water systems, that small rural water systems are inefficient and unable to meet the demands of operating a public water system, and they must be merged with larger, more successful systems. I was provided an opportunity to share our story, both as a former manager of a successful water system and as the mayor of a small city that successfully owns and operates a small water system next door to the largest municipally owned water system in the United States. It all begins with strong leadership, strong rules, strong regulations, strong policies, strong ordinances, and a culture of establishing ownership pride among your staff. It's critical that you develop a working relationship with your neighbors and elected officials to provide your system with the support necessary to succeed. And most importantly, you must build and maintain a positive relationship with your customers that demonstrates trust and acceptance on what it takes to provide them with first-class service at a fair and reasonable cost. Following the presentation, I was able to have several positive meetings with leaders of the EPA, Office of Groundwater, and the USDA Rural Development folks that expressed an open willingness to discuss potential future projects that may be able to help Castroville and Medina County continue in its success in operating rural water systems. Cool. Next one, I want to talk to you really quick about the 2026 and 2027 budget discussions. Mr. Dixon, City Administrator, Leroy, Finance Director, and myself, we've started having proposed budget reviews, line item reviews, with each of the department heads looking over the request before developing a proposed budget for 2026, 2027 to present to City Council for review and consideration at a series of special City Council meetings and workshops beginning in June. Okay? Right. The budget discussions with Council will include a review and discussion of capital improvement plans for each fund to develop a priority list of projects for the city to work on in the coming fiscal year. Next one, I just want to touch base really quick about the City Council elections. I want to thank everyone that participated in early voting for City Council that ended today, and encourage everyone in Districts 4 and 5 that has not voted to vote for your next City Council member on Saturday, May 2nd. Thank you. Now, let's move on to item 10, City Administrator's Report. Now, I moved that up to the front because actually that's where it belongs, in my opinion, where you do your reports first and then you do your business afterwards. So we're going to try working through that. So Scott, if you would please, you're off of your report.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Council. I'm going to run through these fairly quickly. Some of these items we'll be talking about tonight, but as always, if you have questions or if you want to pause, just let me know. So just updates on drainage projects. The Geneva Channel, that's the one that we're really wanting to wrap up and complete. Weather, while we are very grateful for the rain, has caused us some delays. It was hydromulched, and I believe the Fleximat has been ordered and it may be delivered next week. Yeah, possibly tomorrow. So if not this week, then next. Again, all that will be installed based on, depending on weather. So that's Geneva. That's the last kind of project we have to do there. Besides, once kind of we get all that established, we will look at safety measures. We talked to the family about putting some safety measures at the highest point along that ridge. Councilman Lee.
You know that I would ask, and Councilman King can back this up. I had sent you and the mayor pictures of how the water comes down that street, and quite a bit of it comes down the south or the west side of Geneva Street, and doesn't really get into that dropped intersection. I mean, that dropped intersection is doing a good job, but there's still a considerable amount of it makes that turn through Mr. Gerloff's edge of his property, through the fence, and around the edge of that 10-foot easement area between his property line and the street. And so that still needs to be addressed in order to make that project complete.
Yeah, there's a lot of, so that you're getting into kind of Athens area drainage, and I understand that's right there adjacent to the entrance of this Geneva channel, so I get it. But we are, I appreciate you reminding me of that. We'll make sure that we don't lose track of that particular item. Athens area. So
this is specifically at Gentiles and Geneva.
I know. And all of the improvements up Gentiles, all the improvements down Constantinople, we're treating that. When I talk about Athens area drainage, that's
I think it's important. I'll make a comment real quick on that drainage. I think and I hope Phil would agree with me. In that particular area, cutting a swell to go down the street right away with the drainage is great, but the contours of the land in the area push the water a different direction. So you can cut a drainage channel, but you have to go back and continue upstream with the contours to make it go down that channel. And so I'm not saying we need to go full force into that, but those are some of the things that are being brought up. Is it's a work in progress.
Yeah, and we're going to actually go through in greater detail tonight about those drainage improvements that
Do you agree?
being worked on.
Yeah, and it is good that Bob reminded Scott.
Yes, yes.
Because it's a little bitty area right there. But
Yeah.
yes, I agree with you.
I'm sorry, what was the drainage name? I didn't hear the last name.
The house is in front of
Gerlich.
Mr. Gerloff
Gerloff?
is the one on the corner. And
Again, we're going to talk about the Athens area stuff and the Country Village channel a little bit later. Garza Creek, we did have a pre-bid meeting with all the folks that expressed interest in bidding. We had some discussion about what the bid requirements would be in this room, and then we went to the actual site. The mayor and Phil were both there for that meeting, so they were able to kind of see. I think we had a pretty good turnout. We'll see how many bids. I've had pre-bid meetings where we had 8, 10 people, and then you get the time to where the bids come in and you only get 2 or 3 bids. I certainly hope that won't be the case this time, but we are on track to bring that back for council action later in May.
I think, if I may, Scott, I think broad stroke wise, they got a better understanding of what our budget is on the project, and trying to work through that.
And that was the goal, was to at least convey that we're not looking for pretty.
Right.
We're looking for functional.
Right.
So, yeah.
I just wanted to throw that out.
Yeah, thank you. Street maintenance and pavement plan, you're going to see tonight. We're going to try to break this up into kind of at least 2 different categories. One is preservation, what I'm going to call street preservation. This is preservation of our higher quality streets before they degrade. And the whole idea is invest $1 now to prevent investing 10 in the future, kind of thing. And so we've got a plan that will help accomplish that. And then I'm saying 3 because in addition to that, as a county, working with the county to develop a streets plan with them, and then addressing those substandard streets that can't just can't be prolonged simply by doing some type of coating, but really need either reconstruction or work. You all were very helpful in giving us some direction on considering the underground utilities and taking those into account. So we are building a plan around that. So tonight, what you're going to see is kind of that preservation aspect. At a future meeting, May 12th, we will talk about the street plan. Like, where are we going to do some actual street paving projects? And in the interim, I'm working with Commissioner Sitter to get an idea to put together a interlocal agreement. So one of those, trying to keep it, move it along. I've proposed, Dan and I working on a interlocal agreement that we propose to them, and hopefully that at least just gives them some paper to look at and gets us moving quicker than we would otherwise. Because we've kind of been in a wait and see for a little while. On the pond closure, I don't believe any of this is truly new information. This was kind of what was shared with you last time about the approach to the pond closures. We are working through that plan. I don't have an update as to Cave or Lochner's presentation of those plans, but I will get that to you very, very soon. Multimodal planning effort is moving along. You've already been given a draft. It was emailed to you, I think early last week. That has also been put out to the public. We had a public event on the 22nd of April, I believe.
How was the turnout? Do you know?
Well, I don't know how many people showed up. I know that where we did it in conjunction with the Magnolia, and try to pick times when they're pretty much their busiest times of the day. But how many people have actually interact with us, I don't have. No,
Okay.
Brianna may have it in her report.
Sure. I just thought I'd ask.
No, I appreciate that. So I don't know offhand how many people.
Okay. Thank you.
But that's more of an announcement for everybody else to know. Hey, it's out there, it's on the web, and it's available for you to review. And that'll be coming for council action in May as well. This splash pad, looking for an update.
It's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress. They're supposed to be out this week. I
Okay.
don't know if they actually came out on Monday or not, but they were supposed to have been out this week to make some repairs.
Question.
Yes,
Who actually ended up footing the bill for this?
they did. Yeah. We haven't fit into that. There may be a portion of that project that we're going to pick up. So far, it's all been the contractors. I mentioned county street plan earlier. Steinbach House.
Community center.
Skip news.
That's no change.
No change. We're moving forward on that.
It's just it's making progress. There's not anything bad to report, which is always good news. So that is still the deadline that we had expected to close by end of May. That's still the deadline we're getting.
Okay.
I think Councilman King and I have a $5 bet on that, whether we're going to get it or not.
You lost.
City Hall repairs and the library addition and the Steinbach House repairs. Y'all approved those repairs at Steinbach House. We are working with another contractor to look at the doors specifically and windows and some of the aspects that weren't included that bid. So we're looking with a separate contractor to get pricing on that to see how it compares to the pricing we already have from the current contractor. But those repairs are we're working on getting scheduled. So we don't have those. I don't have a definite date as to when that work will be done, but it is being scheduled. And then City Hall repairs, library addition. I provided you just kind of really rough schedule, understanding that where we are on both of those projects, you hired a design build contractor. Their job is to work with the city to design what the ultimate, whatever that project entails, and give you a estimate of cost, a probable estimate of cost, and then you approve it. On the library, we kind of put the cart before the horse a little bit. They gave us just kind of some very rough numbers of here's what that might look like if we did an expansion project. Y'all approved those numbers. We're now kind of going backwards and designing the space. So I don't have a definite date of when they're going to be ready to present y'all with what the interior design looks like. And of course, we're going to work through staff and some of the comments we received from the library board as we go through that process. But I'll keep you updated as to when they're going to be ready to come and present to you and provide council with here's our design and here's what our actual kind of cost estimates. I think Councilman Martin has a question.
So
Yes.
on City Hall, I was in Mayor's office Sunday checks, and it's raining in his office.
Yes.
So, I mean, are we gonna go ahead and, I thought it's my understanding that we're gonna fix We're not waiting for a design and all that. We're
Yeah, I'm going to put that on the. So what I asked staff to do is go back and renew. What I looked back at our minutes to see what we did back in October of last year. In October of last year, y'all were presented with a roof repair, and the direction that was given from council was, let's see, since the design was imminent, we thought we were going to do something with City Hall. We had the CIP meetings coming up, all that. Y'all didn't approve the roof repair or the bid as it was submitted. He said, let's go back and talk to FPC and Pew and see if we can roll this into that project. Well, obviously that project hasn't happened, and that's part of what is in my report is I've asked staff to go ahead and refresh those bids on the roof. It was about $40,000, Bob. So that will be brought back to council at a future meeting, probably the May 12th meeting, for y'all to approve, and we can go ahead and get to work on that for all the reasons that Councilman Marshall
just so I can say this.
Yeah.
And of course I yield to the city council, obviously, but I got it. The design build team, the remodel, but the exterior maintenance of this building should never wait. Be it a leaking roof or a leaking window, if there is, or whatever, it should never wait. It should be taken care of, because you're not talking about remodeling the exterior of this building. You're talking about the remodel is the interior. So that's my opinion. That's my position. But that I yield to what city council's decision is on that. Also, then I wanted to ask you about the Highway 90 TxDOT construction project. I was at a Go Medina meeting today and got a little quick brief on some of the projects that are fixing to be let here. I have a little better understanding when you start talking about utilities. They're fixing to put out for bid the rehabilitation of Highway 90 between 1343 and 471 North, completely rehabbing the highway through here, starting with, I guess, doing some changes to the hill even. So yeah, there's a lot of utility lines that will interface. Now, one of the things we've been talking about, exactly where are they identified conflicts? Yeah. We really need to get that so we can get a handle on that, because and nothing against you, because we need to narrow the monies down a little bit more to make sure we have the funds to do what we have to do. 471 also coming from the north. The TxDOT plan is to make it 2 lanes turning to the east at Bill Miller versus just the one that it is now. So the idea is to move more traffic through there. So there's a lot of changes in the next year and a half. So if you are a fan of the construction now and backing up the highway to the hill on this side or past Victory Lane on the other, get used to it, because it's just going to be a way of life for a few more years.
I will say, in another small town I worked in, anytime there was a problem,
or has the potential to be a way of
life.
life.
So our sales tax went up. Yeah. And so the local EDC was like, can we get a catapult and start launching cars on the road?
I mean, overall, it's to benefit everybody, but of course we got to live through all of this to get to that. So I just wanted to point that out.
Question.
Yes, sir.
On Highway 90, is TxDOT living up to their obligations as far as the drainage issues they create with Highway 90 coming down the hill through town? Are they addressing all of those things that come with 3 or 4 inches of rain on the highway that flow into the Castroville? All the drainage requirements that would go with that, are they up to speed on that, doing what they're supposed to do?
Well,
Take a
they're
look.
gonna. I'll have that conversation as far as maintenance, etc. But understand that if it's within the city limits of Castroville, that responsibility more than likely belongs to us, not them. Outside the city limits of Castroville,
I believe, and you'll have to look it up, but I believe there is a agreement from 50 years ago. But the only thing they're responsible for in the heart of the city is the pavement itself.
Yeah, it's pretty typical that that's the case.
Yeah.
But really what they're doing on Highway 90 through the middle of town isn't going to affect drainage. Now, the stuff going east is east of 471 North. The current project on that has caused drainage changes.
Yeah, so one of the things we did talk briefly when we talked about the multimodal, the planning effort that I mentioned earlier, TxDOT participated in that call. Clayton Rips, who y'all know, was a part of that call. His comments I felt were very on point, and he talked about the drainage needing to be improved at some point, and when it was. We were talking about pedestrian crossings and how to maybe do some of that in creative ways or different ways. But he's aware. I mean, at least at his level, they're aware of some of the needs to improve drainage in this area. So.
Thank you. Is there anyone else have any questions concerning the items in the administrator's report?
One addition that probably needs to be here following the previous meeting is as the city deals with the FAA concerning the compliance inspection. It's obviously still waiting for stuff from us, and council had given some inclination on a direction that might want to go to possibly reapply for non-aviation use and so forth. So if that's appropriate to be on the administrator's report, it might be added in the future.
Yes, we can get that added to future reports. Is there anyone else would like to make any comments on this? Questions?
You'd mentioned the one thing about, my understanding is Ford Pallet Carson / Poe contract. It wasn't just for the inside, but it was also for the stabilization of the outside.
Yeah, well, and it gets tricky because, again, the original plan, we had talked about possibly replacing the windows. So you don't want to do a lot of maintenance on windows, for instance, or doors for that matter, if you're going to replace them.
Right.
So I understand, yeah, to some degree, remodel was always kind of interior, but there were exterior elements like the windows and doors that need maintenance. But anyway, we're going to talk about that.
Well, one good thing about the windows, I just make this comment. 25, 30 years ago, this whole building was covered up in bubble wrap because every one of those window panes had asbestos in the caulking, and everything was taken apart, and this building was declared asbestos free. And that was a big thing. It was through a grant through Historic Commission. So that's a good thing as far as hazardous materials have already been cleaned up on this building. So I just want to make that point when we move forward.
That's good.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you all very much. Thank you, Scott. Let's move on to City Council liaison reports. Ms. Martinez, the airport.
Yep, we had our meeting on the 7th of April. The airport manager reported that we had 2,553 takeoffs and landings out at the airport. We had sold 29,502 avgas, 13,034 in jet fuel. He said fuel prices have increased significantly. Mike let everybody know that effective the 15th of May, he will be retiring, and it's going to be starting the process of looking for a new airport manager. I ain't going to worry about the baseball fields because we handled that at the last city council meeting. We had a company turn around and give a proposal out at the airport during the meeting. They're interested in building hangars out there for the airport then to lease to individuals. We said, well, we're not sure which direction we're going in yet, but we did ask them would they be interested in maybe looking at doing the STEM hangar for out at the airport. And so they're going to go back to the owner of the business and see if they would be interested in possibly doing the STEM hangar.
What is a STEM?
Basically, that's where the high school is. Like they have what is it? Classes and stuff like that. So they would come over and they have those courses at the hangar learning aviation stuff. Because I know Arnie's been working this, trying to get federal grant money to build it and establish the program, but that's hit a slow roll and not going anywhere. So this is a possible another avenue for that to happen out at the airport, but more to come on that. See, Nebraska has had a survey company come out and mark the property. They're waiting to hear from the property to submit to the FAA to get their proposal approved, denied, suggestions. Mike is consolidating all the inputs he's received regarding the Chapter 18 rules and regulations, and he's supposed to be giving that copy of that at the next advisory board meeting next week. Pete and John Clarner attended the TxDOT Aviation Conference. Aviation is booming in Texas. Both TxDOT and the FAA both have a very active compliance group for grant assurances, so they're really looking at to make sure airports are following all the grant assurances required for any grants that they receive. Otherwise, that's everything I've got.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez.
Yes, sir.
Let's move on to planning and zoning. Mr. Marchman.
Yes, sir. March 25th, the April 8th meeting.
Lack of a quorum. Okay.
So these are from March 25th.
Okay.
So the commission continued its ongoing effort to modernize and clarify the city's signage ordinance, which currently contains 14 sections. So what's happening is it's difficult to read, it's outdated structure and unclear standards, and so they're working on that. The purpose of the update is to improve clarity, remove conflicting or unclear language, etc. Sections discussed based on guidance. While specific section numbers were provided, the March 25th session focused broadly on the first 3 sections of the 14 sections of the signage, because I think signage is making it's like fully visible at some points. And then we went through general definitions, applicability, permit requirements, all of that, design standards, temporary sign provisions, and that's basically what the meat of the meeting was. And so we got through the first 3. We're going to get through the next 3 or 4 the next meeting until all 14 are covered. And we've rendered new back policy ordinance to city council.
Okay. If I understood it, just so I'm clear, I understood when we talked several months ago and asked the P&Z to look at these things, the CZO, the subdivision ordinance, and the sign ordinance, they elected to go through the sign ordinance first, and then they would systematically go through the others and provide recommendations that would go to Scott and legal and then to city council.
Correct.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Right? Okay. Thank you very much. Anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to Historic Landmark Commission. Mr. King.
They have one application for certificate of appropriateness on what is called the Booth House, and it was approved as submitted. And then also Brianna updated the board the fact that she's hoping at the next meeting to have Selena's report related to the workshops that they had here about a month or so ago.
Good. Anything else, sir?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Let's go on to Parks and Recreation. Mr. Mers.
The Parks Board met on April 1st this month. This was a change. You may recall that they had changed from meeting on the 3rd Wednesday to the 1st Wednesday. So there wasn't actually long between meetings and there wasn't much on this agenda. They've started revising their projects list again, both updating to include things that have been done and identifying what their priority tasks are moving forward. There was information about the community center construction, the splash pad repairs, and the Texas Parks and Wildlife grant that the city received.
Anything else?
Nope.
Thank you, Mr. Mers. Let's move on to the library. Mr. Lee.
Yes, they met the first Thursday of the month. They continue to discuss the library expansion and the mission statement and basically programs of the library. A lot of it's taken up by the library director's report about the number of people that have come and the programs that are needed in the overcrowding issue, which everyone's happy to see that the building is going to be expanded. But they were working through assignments of responsibilities for the vice chairman and secretary, and that's where we left it. And there'll be a meeting next week. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lee. All right. Let's move on to item 12. Consider possible actions resulting from items posted and legally discussed in executive session. we make a statement first that there were no decisions or actions taken in executive session. And is there any further comment? None?
No, because there's one item that's on the agenda, which will be the Flat Creek amendment.
It's an actual item.
It's an actual item.
Okay.
The other item that was discussed in executive session, empty homes, is not on this agenda for tonight.
Okay.
And staff will work off the directions.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on to item 13, which is discussion and action items. Item A, discussion and appropriate action to adopt a resolution approving the Second Amendment to the development agreement between the City of Castroville, Texas, and KF Flat Creek LP, and authorizing the mayor to execute the same. Let's ask for, does anybody want to make a motion so we can open discussion?
I make a motion to discussion and appropriate action to adopt a resolution approving the Second Amendment to the development agreement between the City of Castroville, Texas, and KF Flat Creek LP, and that's authorizing the mayor to execute the same.
Okay.
And I'll second that.
Okay.
To open discussion.
Got it. There's a motion made and seconded. Sorry. Oh, no, this is not that item. Yes. Motion made and seconded to adopt a resolution approving the Second Amendment to the development agreement between the City of Castroville, Texas, and KF Flat Creek LP, and authorizing the mayor to execute same. Now I'll open up. Is there any discussion? Councilman Lee.
I'd ask this question of Mr. Dixon. It's about a lot of this agreement has to do with water, and you know I'm hard over on the city making sure they get all transferable water rights that are required. The city doesn't give any water rights to a developer out of our current total of water rights, and there's a lot of words in here about I think capacity agreement and so forth. And I'd ask one more time for Mr. Dixon to explain that capacity reservation, and just so I can hear it one more time and everybody will understand about that. And I'm thinking it has to do with all those people that got together to ensure there was enough water for a number of developments, and they had a little piece of that pie. If that's what that's about. But if you would explain the stuff about capacity allotments and reservations again, I would appreciate that.
I will, recognizing that there is an expert in the room that's far more knowledgeable than I am about this, and that's our mayor, Bruce Alexander. But I will, I want to touch on some of these things, and I'll probably expand a little bit more than I would have otherwise, simply because there were some comments made earlier about the thousands of homes that were coming in the middle of a drought. And please believe us when we say that that is a serious concern to the council as well, which is why when development comes into Castroville, Texas, they're required, and I always kind of tell developers, especially ones that are not used to developing in the San Antonio area, they're going to pay for water 3 times. And what I mean by that is you're going to pay to either build or reserve the capacity. You're going to bring water rights, and then you're also going to pay impact fees. Right. So you're going to do all 3 of those things. So in case with the Flat Creek, they will be paying impact fees. They are going to be building out some of our infrastructure, some of which is mentioned in our water distribution expansion plans. So talking about water mains, and we still are working on what will be a utility service agreement to look at further developing our water system. And that's mainly the elevated storage tank, which we've all discussed. And then they also have brought water rights. And so one of the questions is, have they brought enough? Well, there's a couple different ways to answer that, not to try to be evasive, but they have brought all the water rights they're required to bring. So they've already dedicated what is 85 acre feet, which is the statutory requirement 0.612 per living unit equivalent. Now, what hasn't been dedicated to the city, and they're not required to dedicate, we haven't asked them to, is if they're watering some of the green space, that's some of that open space, that's not in our calculations. I don't believe it's in our current requirements.
If I can jump on that real
Sure.
quick, equivalent dwelling units is a measure that's used AWB standards when you calculate water use. Everything that uses water fits into that, whether it's residential, commercial, or landscaping. Everything comes back and is calculated as an equivalent dwelling unit. So obviously, I'm going to have a difference of opinion the way some people interpret it, but even a landscaping meter is an equivalent dwelling unit.
Sure, sure.
So every meter, even commercial, because a commercial, when you look at a commercial that, for example, requires a 2-inch meter, a 2-inch meter is equal to 8 equivalent dwelling units. So everything comes down to calculations based on equivalent dwelling units. And the city of Castroville has in their policy that requires a transfer of water rights equal to 0.612 acre feet per equivalent dwelling unit. So how that gets calculated, it may have not been fully understood or explained that way, but that's the way that Water World interprets it.
Yeah, so one of the things that I'm going to elaborate a little bit on the mayor's comment before, is all right. One of the things that, again, I don't believe we've required in Castroville is like commercial to dedicate any water rights ever.
Okay.
They open a new
car wash
site.
Okay.
And we certainly have had several of those.
Sure.
So that's, I understand what you mean, EDUs or LUEs, however you want to
look at it,
how you calculate those. But we can revisit, and this is something staff has recommended, and I think Councilman Lee was encouraging us to go ahead and bring back, is a policy that would require, that would make it black and white. These are required in these circumstances, whether we're talking, and we could make a blanket statement as you stated and reword it to do that, or we could say it's required here, it's required there, it's, you know, commercial, residential, landscaping, whatever the case may be.
I think it's important for the public, for the people to fully understand the fact is the city of Castroville is no different than the city of Uvalde, the city of Lytle, the city of Hondo, developers Yancey Water, East Medina Water. They're all required developments to bring transferable water rights to the water utility as a condition of providing service. Now, as long as there's property owners, we get water from the Edwards Aquifer, but under the EAA rules, people that own unrestricted water rights have the ability to sell those. So as long as there's people out there willing to sell their water rights that the developers can obtain and transfer the water utility, that's the process. Okay, so that's how it works here. That's how it works at wherever. And my understanding from, I just signed the plats for Flat Creek, and my understanding is we have received the water rights based on our ordinance for those first plats.
Yes, 138 homes and 85 acres.
Yes. So yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I have written that out as an agenda item to turn in for the next meeting. Whether I'm here when it's discussed or not, and whether you put it on, I don't know. But we live in a semi-arid climate, completely different situation about water needs, other than an apartment dwelling, between here and 100 miles to the east. It's a completely different water situation. And so what I'm asking is we take a look at the Alsatian Oaks in this particular case, or some of the other that have come into town, and see if the actual water consumption by those developments to that point and those people in those units, if it actually evens out with what we have required them to bring so far. We're able to adjust as we wish, because remember back in your day and my day years ago, you brought in an acre of property, you gave us an acre foot of water. Okay, and then we changed it to the living unit equivalent. And so, but I think we need to make sure that that is in fact sufficient to cover whatever a new development uses. And we don't say, well, it's in the book, even though we come up short 20%, what are we going to do? Well, we can do, so we don't get in trouble. And so that's why I'm saying we need to do our own analysis to find out if in fact that's satisfactory.
And I know you've talked about that before.
I agree.
612, do you figure in the
45
stage 4 and stage 5 restrictions, and is it still enough? And so
Right.
that's just something I think it's right and proper for us to talk about at some point in the future.
I think it is too.
Yep.
Yeah. Mr. Lee, did you have it? Excuse me, just say, did you have anything else right now?
No, sir.
Okay, Mr. Mers?
I wanted to note that what the ordinance actually says is 0.612 per lot
Okay,
in single-family subdivisions.
okay, so it doesn't
So
include the others.
They are not required to provide water for the meters for the landscaping in a single-family.
So we probably need to.
That's
But in
something we need to
any
review.
subdivision other than single-family residential,
Yes, sir.
it's 0.612 per LUE.
Okay, that's
So
something
that-
we should revisit.
Yeah, and I think that could use a lot of cleaning up. And then I saw a hand shoot up back there when we said that all developers are required to bring water. Alsatian Oaks was permitted to give cash value,
Yes,
which is in accordance with the ordinance. Ample water supply or the equivalent payment shall be determined by the city of Castroville. And Mr. Lee has opinions about when that can be applied, and that's fine. No one on city council is in support of maintaining that option into the future.
sure.
Hopefully the next city council can get around to adjusting that.
Yes, sir. Okay. Anything else, sir?
So I just wanted to provide those 2 points of clarification because I had a feeling that's why that hand went up.
I know we ventured off into LUEs, and I do want to just remind we are on the Flat Creek item.
I know.
If we can keep
That
it
is
kind of to Flat Creek.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. King?
So the idea is to move this down the road, which they need, because this is the one where they need to start selling their lots, right? So is there modifications, or, I mean, is it ready to go as it is, or is this, I'm forgetting if this is what we
okay.
talked about or not?
Yes, I think,
You know about this more than I do, because he said you did.
well, several months ago, there was a request to increase the PID due to the increased cost in construction and what have you. The city council took action after reviewing that to authorize the increase in the PID, but yet I brought up some concerns about tax rates and what have you. So the approval was city council said, yes, we're going to approve the increase conditioned on the mayor being satisfied with all the questions he wants. So anyway, we got down to this and started talking with our P3 folks, and generally an amendment to a development agreement, okay, it opens it up potentially for discussion. And the approach from the city has been, okay, and I think working with the developers folks is, okay, what do we get in exchange for increasing this for you to have more funds there? And that's where we've been in back and forth. Now, there are some issues of concern maybe that the city may want to go back and talk with our P3 people about trying to negotiate some things that maybe would benefit the city in exchange for this. It's not that we don't want to work with this. It's kind of like, okay, what's in it for us to increase that ability for the developer to receive, in this case, $5 million more worth of reimbursement? Yes, it's paid for out of the assessment of the properties there. I got it. And it doesn't cost us, but what do we get in exchange for helping that out? So one of the things that was brought up, and is it okay if I'm going to bring that up? Mr. Kellen, is in the original agreement, there was parkland, a fee paid to the city for parklands in lieu of parklands. But yet the conditions on that, it's tied to a 500 lot plat. What the city would like to do, and I don't want to,
I think we should limit ourselves to.
we want to discuss
identifying
those
the areas
things.
that
We want to
like
discuss things like that. Let's put it like that, or maybe options that may be beneficial. Can I go to details or no? No. Okay. We've given some guidance, or excuse me, we've discussed some things that we would like to continue to work on that. Let's just leave it at that. Can I say that? Is that fair enough, Mr. Attorney? That even though there's a motion on the table, I don't know, and of course the council gets to vote, I don't know if it's going to be adopted at this time because of the fact there's still some ongoing issues we'd like to talk about. I'll leave it at that. Mr. Marchman, is there something you want to talk about?
No.
Ms. Martinez?
No.
Did I say that right, Dan? Okay, I
Tiptoed that line.
Thank you. I was stepping close, but I pulled myself back.
Based on that, I'd like to withdraw my motion.
And I'd like to withdraw my second.
Okay, Got it. Well, is there
Anybody
anybody else want to make a motion to adopt a resolution approving the Second Amendment in the development agreement between the City of Castroville, Texas, KP Flat Creek LP, and authorizing the mayor to execute the same?
You have two options. You can either let
Please.
it die for lack of motion, or you can make a motion to deny it at this time. One of the two.
But if it dies, you can discuss it next meeting.
That's correct.
You're not doing
If okay, so basically it dies for a lack of a motion, and staff has been provided guidance on where to go from here. Not direction, guidance on where we want to, and I think that guidance was part of our discussion. Okay. Mr. Kelly, did you want to speak?
Yeah, kind of like last meeting, just some clarification.
Yes, sir.
So we know, for example, last time we talked about NP, direction was on the block length, very clear. We understood that whatever direction you've given Scott and legal counsel, Dan, is that clear enough so that we can come back, address those questions, and bring it back to council? And the reason I ask is because this project is far along. You've signed the plat.
Yes.
They're ready to go to bond issuance.
Yes.
And so we're now in a tight time frame, so we'd like to address those issues very quickly.
And I think what you just mentioned was an item that was discussed first, and we all understand that, and we want to put this to bed as quick as we can.
Okay. We would like to be on the next agenda if you guys think you know what they said.
They do.
Okay.
Yeah. No, we know we do. I think we're good. Yeah.
Okay.
And we fully expect it to be on an upcoming agenda right away. Because we do recognize the, like I said, I signed the plat.
I know.
You guys are ready to move forward.
You know how far along this thing is now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we'd like to be here next time, address the issues. So if they've got clear direction, we'll work with them and bring this back.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. No further discussion on that one. Let's move on to item B, discussion appropriate action on updated drainage plan.
Hello, Mayor, Council. Thank you for hearing us out today. This is more of a action plan for the drainage.
Ricky,
So-
I just tell you, I did get your email. I didn't get it until I was in my other meeting,
Okay.
but I will be able to bring it right here.
That's all.
and maybe you should say who you are for the people that's listening.
I'm sorry, I could barely-
Say who you are.
Oh, Ricky Cross, Assistant Public Works Director. Thank you for hearing us out. I really wanted to just let you guys know what we are doing. I don't know if there's much action unless you guys see the need for it, but we do have a map, and these areas were identified as the high priority areas that needed to be addressed. That is the 2023 drainage maintenance plan as a recommendation. It has then since been updated, minor, not the full thing, but I believe numbers and some of the work we've been doing according to Geneva Drainage kind of changed those up a little bit. But for the most part, these are the areas that are identified. We do want to let you guys know we've heard the public, we've heard you. We're getting on this. As a matter of fact, Daniel's been solely on this project this week. One of the things I do want to highlight is that it is a joint effort. This is all of Public Works. In order for Daniel to even focus on this, every area of Public Works is helping out with his workload.
You want me to bring up that other sheet? Or not?
I believe you can. Yeah, that would be helpful. I'll get started on that. We do have a list of 11 items. Well, I'd say the list shows 13, but there's really 11 that needed to be really addressed. As you can see, I don't know if it's up there yet.
I'll be one.
I'll go ahead and get started. The first couple items was Constantinople from Gentile to Lafayette on the east side. This was all grass cutting, which normally falls on our streets department. That was picked up by our water department. Constantinople weed eating from Gentiles to Lower Lacoste. Highway 90 and South Islands, the weed eating from Geneva to Amelia. Provident actually mowing, not weed eating. They would be mowing from the north side from 471 to the car wash. So water department has picked up those responsibilities so Daniel can solely focus on the drainage plan that we are about to show you guys. Items 5 through 8 was picked up by our wastewater department. They are mowing. They actually finished the majority of that today. So they mowed from east to the west side of Providence on May Street. They did mow and weed eat the slope by Sammy's and Goose Automotive. Highway 90 was north and south, the middle median, the shred. They still got to do some shredding, which I believe this is the area that wastewater planned to pick up. They did work on Village Path, 134 Village Path. They mowed there. Items 9 and 10 was picked up by our gas department. They are our smallest department. So they did help out. I believe they were helping out on some other stuff, like the tree trimming, things like that. But it's a team of 2. So they went ahead and picked up Country Lane Creek, mowing from Spring Rain to Country Lane, and I believe that's scheduled for tomorrow and Thursday. They will be doing the weed eating and the drainage on 4711 as well. So they picked up those 2 items. We do have one item 11, which is kind of dependent on the growth. They've already cut that, which was handled by our streets. But with that rain, we're probably going to need to address it. We're kind of just playing that one by ear. Potholes all around town were picked up by our electric department. So those guys were actually out. They are starting to do some. They have some work scheduled, so they're working that around. They're doing what they can. They're patrolling, and they are going to be filling as many potholes as they can. They also did the tree trimming, which is usually helped out by the streets department. This is where gas department kind of jumped in as well, and they sent one of their guys out there to help them with the tree trimming and cutting down. We do know that there's still some more out there. It's not very specific to this list. This was just an identified list, some of the work orders that Daniel's been working on, and it was easy for them to pick up and fit into their schedules of their normal duties. So they went ahead and did this, but they do plan on helping out. I do want to mention every department was voluntarily picking up these. There was no arguing. There was no back and forth. There was no attitude in any of this. Most of these guys were happy and wanted to show what they were doing to help out. And they do help out Public Works quite a bit. We do have a lot of cohesiveness in that department now. A lot of these guys are getting along. They like helping each other out. And this was one of them that there was actually no headache involved. They just jumped in and did what they had to do. No questions asked, essentially. So they do plan on continuing this. This is not a one day thing or a 1 week thing. They are going to help out as needed. We're going to start holding supervisor meetings a little more often. And we're going to toss that back around, who can help where, how to help each other. That being said, that's letting Daniel focus on these streets that we have up there. It is set up this way, and I wanted to make sure we showed the map that we do have to work upstream. It's extremely vital to work upstream and not work downstream up. It's vital to do that progress. It was one of the key notes that was given directive by our engineering firm. We wanted to go ahead and do what we can without their interference. One of the only stipulations they said was make sure you work downstream and up. You're going to make a mess if you just start spot checking. So what we're going to do is, as soon as we're done with the Geneva channel, he does plan on working his way up from the Geneva area, finding out where we can. And if we find any issues, we do have the ability to GPS shoot from one end of the creek to the other. We don't have the software to kind of identify it, but we can shoot this and send it to our engineers, and they can give us the grade that we need to hit if there is some issues with the grade. So those are just some things we did have in your packet, which was kind of the ditch implementation guide. That is one of the things that they are following to ensure that we're doing as much work as we can without engineer interference. There is some outlined areas in there where they want that input to ensure that it's done properly, and we're not creating a problem downstream and just moving that from an upstream problem and moving it to somebody else's house. We hear them out. I believe them. I take the calls as well. I hear you guys. I know y'all guys get the calls as well. I do want to emphasize we are working on this. It is a team effort, and it is all hands on deck with all Public Works departments.
So we should see, the kind of takeaway is, again, it's not really for an action item, but we've heard you loud and clear. This is something that needs to be addressed. We want to bring everything we can to it, and we're going to be working on this. So you'll start to see a lot of the bar ditches where there were existing bar ditches, you'll see those get reestablished. And in some places, according to plan, we'll be putting in new bar ditches, but we're going to focus first on the ones that are already there that just need to be maintained or reestablished. So that's mostly what you see highlighted in these colors. Again, the colors are highlighting drainage, existing drainage areas where there's known issues that our engineer recommended for us to attack as part of alleviating flooding concerns in these areas, right, where people have complained that the water gets high.
Yes, I wanted to make sure we showed this map because I'm sure you guys are going to get calls, and I'm fully anticipating getting calls on why we're working on this drainage first versus the drainage in their area. This was very strategic. It was planned, and this is to work upstream so we can tackle the high priority areas. We don't plan on stopping just after this. We do plan on continuing any drainage issues we see, and there's a collaborative effort between all of Public Works to get that done. Other than that, that's pretty much our plan of action, more instead of a change in the drainage plan. So we just wanted to update you guys with that.
Well, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate y'all working on this, but and I appreciate y'all working together. And I don't want you to take this the wrong way. This is just a broad stroke. This is a long overdue. On August 24th, 21, Mayor Derek Schroeder sat right in this chair and emphasized that the city needs to begin doing maintenance on the bar ditches. In 2023, City Councilman Paul Carey sat up here and said the city needs to get active in doing the maintenance on the drainage silt lines. All you got to do is go down and cut the drainage off, cut the silt lines off, and reestablish bar ditches. In 2025, last year, it was one of the first things I said. So I believe this is at least 5 years overdue. Been to this council before with no action. So I'm glad to see you guys are doing something with that. But I will add to this. The concrete structures on Houston Street were established in the 1920s when that was old Highway 90. It's not that hard to set the grades in between those concrete structures. Just go clean out the same grades. They haven't moved. The ones on Naples Street, the concrete structures haven't moved. So just go clean out the drainage ditches to match up those. Yeah, I understand going down, starting at the river and coming back. But some of the ones that have improvements already in it, hard, just not just ditches, but culverts in place, just go clean them out. And that'll help improve. Everything you do will help improve the drainage overall. And I appreciate what y'all are doing because there's problems everywhere. You guys seen it with the rain, even more so. Even when you talk to River Bluff, the water that's holding in the cul-de-sacs. Yeah, the houses are tight together, but there's a drainage easement between the houses that goes downstream. Exercise your easements, clean them out, get the drainage moving. Again, thank you for what you're doing. Don't give up. Don't back off.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, since y'all have that machinery out and about, there are a lot of places, and I'll just pick on Highway 90 because that's one of the few places around with curbs, is over the years, and we used to have a contract to have people come in here with sweepers at least once, maybe twice a year to go down Highway 90 and those lead offs into the neighborhoods. But the dirt is basically gone from the curb down to the street. It's all overgrown with grass. A lot of that, or some of that, is probably the responsibility of the person that has the commercial property next to it, but it might be dangerous for them to get out there, with a shovel and a wheelbarrow and try to clean that, whereas we have the ability to, with the piece of equipment we have, that people would not run over you. And so if we could run, a machine down and get some of that sod that grows between the top of the curb and the street out of the way, it would really kind of clean up the appearance along Highway 90, if that's possible.
Yes, sir. We'll definitely take that into consideration. Yes.
Well, again, we have an agreement. This was mentioned earlier in the meeting. We have an agreement with TxDOT that goes back. The city does. Goes back
probably as long as the city.
Decades.
1939.
That 1939, where the city maintains a right of way along 90, when we talk about vegetation, that kind of thing, they're in charge of the pavement. We're in charge of everything else.
Yes.
Right.
If it's in the city limits.
But there's also difference. People, when you look at sometimes the drainage, you believe the water's supposed to go this way when it actually goes that way. And these folks have to take care of that. I mean, you want to pick on Highway 90, go to Sharp Street at the Valero. That street is a break point which goes east and west. But the property from the east always tries to force it west, but it don't go that way. But you want to make it go that way, but it natural flow. So there's a lot of different things in it. How, in an ideal world, the city is on three sides of the river. We just flush everything to the river and we're great. But there's a tremendous amount of fall from up at your house area, for example, to down Mr. Lee's. The city drains that way. So when they're talking about fixing these, cleaning these up, yeah, you got to get down on the low end and clean them, because if you fix them here, there's nowhere else for them to go. What I was bringing about is the structures is a start point even on some of these.
Yes, sir.
So there's a lot of things to work out.
Yes, sir.
You don't just go willy-nilly, because then you've created a problem somewhere else.
Any other questions?
But
yes,
moving forward is good. Yes, please.
Go ahead, Houston.
So at 90, where right there where McDonald's is, so that huge grate where the water's supposed to go underneath 90.
Yes.
And that, how do you guys have plans to clean that?
We do clean it. Every rain that we have, when we know there's expected rain, Daniel and his guys, they essentially get on call. They know that if we get close to anything over half an inch, all the leaves and the sticks and all the sediment builds up there. They do go out and they clean it in the middle of the rain. They're out there on call. Luckily, one of no, they just clean the grates. They clean the grates. We do have plans to get a jetter. We're still working on prices right now. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but we do have plans on trying to get a jetter to clean most of those out. But you do need a bit of a bigger jetter to get some of those out, just because of the size of those. But we're going to do everything we can. We hear you guys loud and clear. I do want to mention Parks helped us as well as cutting grass. I don't want to leave them out.
So the jetter is, and that's how you would do, because there has been some ditch cleaning, like over there off Petersburg. But when we don't clean underneath in those culverts, we really not accomplish much, because it's going to stack.
Yes, sir. We understand, and that was one of the things we were trying to do. We do want to get some guys out there and try to do what we can. Usually the jetter is the best way to get that and get that cleaned out.
Well, I want to defend Public Works for a little bit. I'm going to do it a lot, but I'm really going to defend you when working on this. I make a comment about going back to those concrete structures, but some of those concrete structures have 18 inches of silt line built in them.
Yes.
And when you go down and reestablish the original flow line, you're going to get all kinds of grief when now all of a sudden, where people have been accustomed, there's a small swell, all of a sudden there's going to be a 2-foot deep swell, because to match up, to do it the proper way.
Yes.
So
sir.
It's doing it the right way, but we have to be in here and be supportive of what they're doing when they have to make, in some cases, drastic changes, but only back to reestablish what it's supposed to be. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that's always been a concern of the city, in how much do we do and still try to keep the public on board with what we're doing. So it's a balancing act, but the goal is to get it where we can flow the drainage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're adding River Meadow onto this, right? After the last rain we had, the one that sunk down.
Yeah, River Meadow this is just drainage.
Right. Well, that's
bar ditches. Yes.
That's more of a street condition issue, and the short answer is yes. But
because it ties into River Valley for the drainage.
I understand. That's the street plan, though. That to fix that particular problem, we're going to continue to monitor it. So if we get rains like we did in the past, we're going to have to go until we fix that drainage issue. We're going to have to go pump out that area. We don't want to do that.
Right.
We'd rather just fix the street. So we do have a plan.
Okay.
The guys are already on top of that. I've directed them, let's get the drainage done first.
I just want to make sure.
And then we'll get the street.
Yes, ma'am. We did meet with Scott out there, and we actually stood there in the water in the middle of everything.
Oh yeah, I'm
trying
the
to
one
figure
that.
all of this out. We are addressing it. And then, Mayor, I did want to address. I do apologize on the delay. I do know
you don't
it was
have
a long time coming.
You may not have been here.
Yeah,
but I applaud you for falling on your sword on that. But it's a team effort.
Yes, sir. We did take over streets about a year ago. Historically, streets was not a part of Public Works, and I apologize about that. We did work on it, and when we took over streets, there was plenty of projects ongoing.
Sure.
That we could have done better. I'll tell you that. I do believe we were focused on these projects and trying to do what we got to do. Our manpower issues kind of caught up to us a little bit.
I'll take that. Okay, thank you. Mr. Martinez, do you have anything else?
No.
Mr. King? Mr. Murs?
There was an item on the last agenda that mentioned hiring new staff and mentioned new equipment like the street sweeper that was mentioned. Were those in any way related to this?
Well,
or has the action that's been described, was that taken instead of those requests?
Well, one of the things that I'm very pleased, I'm not trying to take away from any other projects, but one of the things during our initial budget discussions, one of the things that I ask and we've asked is, we're all city employees first. We have our own departments, but let's do more of a team effort on some of these things. And there are some positions that in job descriptions have multiple roles. So I do thank you guys for moving forward with stuff like that. So yeah, it was a request, but if there's going to be any personnel issues, I believe those would be discussed at budget time.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's to short answer your question, David.
Yeah, any question?
No, this is not instead of, or it doesn't replace. Those requests are really more of a budgetary nature.
Right.
We've deferred those for the budget discussion.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm glad so much has been getting done and is going to be getting done. My concern is just that, yeah, the drainage needed to be done 10, 20 years ago, but as I love saying, half of our pipes have been past their useful life expectancy for longer than I've been alive.
Yes, sir.
And so it's great that we've got everyone helping out on drainage, but we've got a lot of we have outdated, in need of help stuff in all the departments.
I just talked to you about 100-year-old drainage structures that they're working with. So yes. Okay. Yes,
I just want to make sure that we're not focusing on drainage at the expense of all the other work that we also need to do. And please remember that when you get to budget cycle.
Yes, sir. Mr. Lee.
No, I have nothing to do
this is really not a back and forth discussion, but I'll. Okay.
Explain to me again how the drainage ditch that's, for instance, when he's talking about by McDonald's, that goes under Highway 90, that he's talking about spending tax dollars by a jet thingy. How is that not a TxDOT responsibility? I don't understand.
Okay. I'll answer you really quick without going into the drainage structure that goes under Highway 90 was part of the city of Castroville's drainage improvements in 2001, 2002. What prompted our drainage utility, it was our first project, and it goes underground drainage from Constantinople from the river on this end to the river on that end. And that's all part of a drainage structure system that the city bought and paid for. It's really not the highway. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Ricky, anything else?
That's my presentation on the drainage, unless you guys have anything else.
Thank you very much for that.
When you're ready.
Pardon me?
Remove the streets.
Okay, let's move on. Let's go to item number C, discussion and appropriate action to authorize HA5 street conditioning project. Before you say anything, well, go ahead. I apologize. Go ahead. I'll save my comment.
Thank you, guys. This is a preservation program, as Scott kind of touched on a little earlier. It is a top-down approach that prioritizes streets with that higher PCI index from our Good Roads evaluation, the pavement condition index, and it's to prevent more deterioration that's already ongoing. If we were to start on the worst streets first, you're limited on funds. You might only be able to get a block or two of a full rebuild with the funds we have. This is the best use of our funds, and it's a top-down approach. We don't want to be chasing our tail, just running around and constantly working on the worst roads and getting 5-10% of what we could have gotten done. We want to preserve what we have to save that money. It maximizes the value and the budget that we have now that we're currently working on, and we appreciate all those funds that you guys have provided for us to work on this.
So let's talk about where the source of funding is real quick. So this would come directly from the 200,000 that's budgeted in the city's street maintenance budget, right? Separate from that, y'all approved 400,000 for street paving. This isn't that money. This is coming out of your budgets. We're letting you know how we're going to use the budgeted funds, and then separately allocated funds that you all did will come at the May 12th meeting.
The $200,000, if I remember correctly, and I'm probably wrong, but their budget wanted monies to go in for maintenance, but that was for paving. So, and then we added another 400 of the CIP for paving. So there's 600 for paving.
Right.
Now, here's my problem with this. Okay, I got it. I understand what you're trying to do, but you're redoing the newest subdivisions, resurfacing. I know you're trying to save the roads, but there are many, many blocks in this town that just need a little TLC and a seal coat. Where are they? Because before I would ask city council to approve $200,000 to redo the roads in 3 subdivisions that have relatively new roads in compared with a lot of other roads, I'd be sitting here with a plan for resurfacing as many other roads at the same time, because there's a lot of roads that don't have to have reconstruction. So that's my question. Where are we at on those?
Yes, sir. That's still a plan that we're developing to bring to your attention.
Okay.
There's some factors in there, and I fully understand that this is not the most popular method to go about this. I truly do, and I'm bringing this to you guys so that way you guys are aware where our stand on that situation is, and if you guys deem that that's not the proper approach, we can go back to the drawing board, change things up. We do have the factor of that other 400,000 that we do plan on trying to identify those that we can do with the overlays, the moderate to decent PCI index, so that way we can start addressing those. And that's going to give you the best bang for your buck, on top of if that agreement with county begins to work out, the 400,000 would be utilized for the material cost.
You get a lot of
just
seal.
To be real clear,
a lot of seal coats.
Yes.
I know there's
Yes.
even if you didn't get an agreement with them, you can still do a lot of single shots.
Yeah, but I'm also going to let you know, I mean, I'm painfully aware of the fact that there's more money that we haven't allocated from the bonds we borrowed, which were for streets, in addition to facilities and other things, and parks, and blah, blah, blah. And then there's your fund balance that we haven't touched. Sure. So I plan on bringing you a plan A, B, C, D, E, so y'all can go as far as you want. And I heard your comment earlier, Mayor, about budget discussions, that you want to include capital expenditures in the budget.
Discussions.
Right.
When we have the
So,
discussions.
which isn't typically what we do, but that's great. We will roll these conversations into that budget discussion as well.
Like I said, I'll let council go to second, but I understand what you want to do here. Okay, I got it, to save the life of those streets. But I'm dealing with the majority of the citizens saying, what about mine? It's never been done, or hasn't been done in 20 years.
Yes, sir. No,
So I just wanted to keep y'all painfully aware of that when we're talking about these things. Yes, sir, Councilman King.
This is my field of expertise, one of them. But I know exactly what you're thinking about, is that these are the newest streets. But, and I know what Ricky was saying, you can do this $195,000. You might get a couple of blocks on the other streets. Going out here in front of City Hall and seal coating that street is worthless. because the pavement is too deteriorated. You cannot save those streets. But to save these streets in these new neighborhoods will save you all millions of dollars in the future. And when you do it when they're about 5 years old. Yes, it's expensive, but you're paying pennies on the dollar to save these streets. And we always talk, we don't want to kick the can down the road. But for this little bit of money now, this is what I would recommend. Yes, go and add longevity to these streets of the ones that have already been built. We're here, and we're not here rebuilding them in a very short time period. And that's what all these pavement programs, I understand where the consultants are coming and telling you this, because this is when you should do it. Whereas if you look at these other old streets around here, they're past saving.
Yes, sir.
They're better than a gravel road. They need to be rebuilt. They need to take sections and do it. But yeah, so and I think maybe you all heard it, but I heard it real clear. Ricky's saying for what you do for a couple of blocks, we can seal coat all these things. And in my professional opinion, that will add many, many, many years of longevity to this and be tremendous cost savings in the long run.
Yes, sir. That is the general. We do plan on working at the other 400,000 into some of those roads. We do plan on getting with you guys later and seeking your input. We are going to prioritize the roads that do not have the utility issues underneath them prior, so that way we can focus on those roads while you guys are brainstorming on the funds for some of these other roads. We can work on those with the funds we have, and that way we're not pushing that down.
Sure.
That's what
Yes.
we're trying to do.
And I understand that.
You had two other comments, Mayor.
Councilman Lee.
Well, excuse me.
Oh,
one thing I was gonna-
yes, sir.
But I understand staff needs direction
I
from you
understand
guys,
that.
and we're going off council. But if fundamentally you don't think this is where they need to be going, you need to tell them tonight.
I'm not against this.
Yeah.
I want to marry it with others too.
Yes, sir.
So perception is everything. Perception is reality. And in my opinion, what I believe is, what about these areas? What about this? What about that? And I'm not going to get in an argument about what street here, what street there. I'm just wanting to show some progress in other areas of the city other than these established subdivisions. Mr. Lee.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry you stole my thunder, but I think about the 20% of the property tax we get from Alsatian Oaks, right? But we're really taking the money from the rest of the town to support fixing their streets. Is that the right thing to do? It's the right thing to do. Okay, I'm not disagreeing with that. And so, like you said, two of the newest subdivisions in town, we're already spending money on repairing their streets. And if it has to be done for 5 years and we're building Flat Creek and another, we'll spend more money maintaining the streets on the very newest things and hardly ever get to anything in town where everybody else that's been underwriting this stuff forever lives. You see the irony in that? The rest of us, sorry about that, buddy. And we're going to spend our money, and it's the right thing to do. I'm not disagreeing, but it really hurts the rest of us that made this town so attractive that all these people wanted to build new subdivisions here.
Understood. We do prioritize. We are prideful as well of old Castroville. I do want to say that we do. This would buy us a 5 to 10 year preservation of those roads, and in that 5 to 10 years, we can focus all of our attention to some of these worst streets that you guys have identified, and ones that we get together. And we do want y'all's input. We do. Other than that, that's kind of our plan of action right now. Just seeking your
pause again, because I don't think council is done. Was there
Councilman
another
Morris,
one?
did you have anything you want to say?
Yes. Ultimately, no streets last forever. Everything has to get rebuilt eventually.
Yes.
Ultimately, I hope the city, like I've been harping on for several years, can get to a point where we're rebuilding 5 to 10% of our roads every year. And so nothing's ever decrepit because it's always got a known time in the future that we're going to be rebuilding it. What we've got laid out here tonight is more than 5% of our roads. And so this $200 is getting us ahead on the long-term goal. And next month, the Future Council will be allocating twice this much money to help us catch up, help us get to that point where it's continuous. And so after this year, in this budget cycle, I really hope that we will see this money put in the budget with a tax increase if necessary to fund it. So that's something that can be happening every year without having to fight through debt issue or use a depleting fund balance. And I really hope that sometime in the next year, we'll get to see what that 15 to 20 year rolling plan looks like, so that we have it going forward. Ultimately, this is a bad look. I'm at least glad that my street isn't getting repaved.
Is there any other comments from council?
Mr. Marchman, I'm going down the line.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Marchman.
Yes, sir. So page 229 in our packet, it shows the fee by street, right?
Mm-hmm.
And which is pretty interesting. But my question is, as far as a plan goes, do we have a plan by footage of where you have to go all the way down to utilities and rebuild the whole thing? And then this street you have to do X, Y, or Z, to where you can look at a complete budget of where we're going?
I can answer that real quick. That's what they're going to bring at the next meeting,
Okay.
is the remainders of the streets. This is unique to this, and you're working on the other one.
Yeah.
Did I hear that?
Yes.
Yes.
I was saving my comment. I'm not going to make it now. We would love for you to approve this tonight because we want to be able to make some progress.
Sure.
But the truth of the matter is, we still have got to get y'all side agreed to an interlocal that would allow us to participate with it.
Right.
Bernie's still got to approve that. I don't know when their council meeting is. They might be doing that tonight. But anyway, we've got to wait until that actually gets done before we can engage this. If you would feel more comfortable trying to do this holistically, you won't hurt our feelings. We want to make sure you're making the best decision possible. We do believe this is the best investment of your funds, but we understand, just like you, we don't want your constituents to think, well, shoot, they're doing only these roads. So if you want to wait until May 12th and we put this back on the agenda along with those other roads that we're going to talk about, again, my goal is to give you a plan A, here's the money you've allocated, a plan B, here's the money you've allocated, plus if you wanted to add to that, this is what that would look like. And then maybe even a plan C that says, if you wanted to try to accomplish this in a time frame, 3, 5, 10, 15 years, we're going to lay that out for you and try to give you that, what that looks like. Right?
I think that's best. I don't think there's any argument, even myself, there's no argument that we need to do these things to extend the life of these. Just would like to see others added to it so we can see a package, so we can see a full package.
That concern. We understand.
We plan on presenting.
Thank you.
We brought this back because it was ready.
Yeah, well, I understand.
Right? But if
Oh,
you
but
wanna wait-
we're getting there. We're getting close. Ms. Martinez?
I'd like the complete plan because my constituents, our roads are roller coasters. And what happened with River Meadow, the middle of it sunk. I have other streets that the manhole covers are up higher than the road and big hazards. I mean, I like to see the complete layout because we've been kicking down the road a while and we've got to get something done.
Okay.
One more thing.
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah, this plan, by the way, I should have said this earlier, and you all may understand it. But this is really a paint job.
Yes.
But it's like you have a building, and by painting it, if you don't paint it, then you start to have rotted wood underneath it.
Absolutely.
And now it's cost you a lot more money. So the idea is you want to balance out painting the house that the wood hadn't started deteriorating yet.
You're
And then
extending the
at
life.
the same time over here, you're replacing wood that's replaced. Yeah. So, and this is not a repair of a pavement at all. This is simply a maintenance issue to extend the life.
It's
I do
extending
want
the
to
life.
temper some expectations because we've
Yeah.
already done
Okay.
we know what it would cost to replace some roads in some areas, and we don't have that kind of money, but we can make the money go as far as we can, and that's what that comprehensive plan is meant to do.
Okay. We're about as clear as mud on what we're bringing back?
Yes, sir.
Give or take.
Huh?
All right.
Thank
Well,
you,
hang-
Bert. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, did you have something else?
This was for appropriate action.
Yes.
We do have the option to approve this tonight if council wants to.
That's all I was going to mention is, do you want to actually entertain an action or not?
I get the feeling council is looking for the full package, but unless they want to proceed with
I'll
this.
make a motion.
Sure.
Just to make everyone uncomfortable.
Okay,
All
I'm
right,
waiting.
sorry. The spot for recommended motion here.
Yes.
I motion to.
You can kind of read the subject
Yeah.
as a motion.
I move to authorize Public Works to begin the HA or to contract for the HA 5 Street conditioning project contingent on the interlocal being approved by Bernie.
Okay, we have a motion
I'll
to
second that.
motion second to authorize Public Works to proceed with HA 5 Street conditioning project contingent upon the approval with Bernie interlocal agreement. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, guys. I do want to say something. I know this is probably gonna be the last time I get to speak to this council, but thank you guys for all you do. I really do appreciate it. I think the three of you guys that are leaving here, we hope we can do y'all proud with us gone. But thank you for all you do. I know it's a thankless job and it draws a lot of criticism, but we appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank Ricky. Thanks. The pay makes it all worth it.
I'll see you at the lift station.
Love it.
I'll be calling.
Love it.
It's right across the street from my house.
All right, we're going to move on to item D, discussion appropriate action on results of condition survey of Steinbach House, Wagon Accessory Building in City Hall. This is, I guess, was on the last council meeting agenda. There was, from my watching, or 2 meetings ago, there wasn't a support information. However, there was discussion, and I believe it's been in the staff report also. But Mr. Lee asked for this to bring back, so I'll turn this over to Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I did ask for it to be back on here because the information was late in coming for everybody to have time to study it and be prepared for discussion in the council meeting, which was acknowledged by the people that did the survey. But the thing was, of course, to bring back the results of that examination of those three structures and a recommendation on how to move forward with that, plus how to ensure that they didn't get in that situation again. And yes, I do understand it's a common city facility maintenance issue, but it wouldn't have been on the agenda to do something with had we been able to get to it. And so it appeared from some of the correspondence that I had seen that there was some of members of council that were in favor of proceeding with doing some of the items on here immediately, and maybe some not. And as you said, Mayor, I think, maintenance of windows and doors, if that's what you want to say, is really not a remodeling issue whatsoever. And so that's something that needs to be done, just like the streets and everything else, needs to be done before the need arises and gets in a situation. I brought a present to council tonight. It's a quart of paint, the color of the windows of this building. There you go, and the doors. And having done a complete house stripping and painting before, looking at the doors and windows here, it's a matter of scraping off what's loose at this particular point and not necessarily trying to make it look pretty, but continuing to protect the wood that's still viable, that is there. Having lived near Williamsburg, Virginia, somewhat a tourist attraction, and examining the windows on those buildings, when we were discussing this before, when I was sitting where you are, they have got layer upon layer upon layer of paint on their wood windows and doors in order to keep them from deteriorating and having to basically, as you say, do full level reconstruction. And so I would like to hear what council's thoughts are on taking care of the windows and the doors over at the Steinbach House. Also, my impression when I looked at the very nicely done wagon barn, a lot of that wood is getting very dried out, which is obviously something you would expect here. Having lived many, many years in Europe, I never really saw many of their wooden structures look quite like this one is on the way to getting. And it's such a nice structure. I think if it needs some exterior stain or something to treat the wood from further drying out and starting to split, I think we need to consider doing that to it. Obviously, the Steinbach House is a showcase for town. I'm in full agreement with what has been recommended as far as the structural pieces of the Steinbach House. Nothing in that report directly addressed doing the windows in this building other than to tie it into the $1 million that we approved to do some stuff here. And who knows how long that's going to take before it finally happens. Meanwhile, the structure that we're so proud of and that we show people continues to deteriorate day after day after day. And so I'd like to hear what council thinks about going ahead and get the plan on how we're going to proceed with the windows and doors over at the Steinbach House, and also what we can do now to take care of the windows and the doors in this building, so it looks like the place that we want people to come into and be proud of, such as the visitors we had from France here within the last week. And so with that, I will ask for Mayor, for you to get other people's comments on if we ought to proceed with doing some of this right now or just blow it off.
All right, we're right now. I don't think, honestly, there's a report in here from the city secretary that she's working to try to get a maintenance contractor to do the work at the Steinbach House. So that issue has already underway. The issue for concern at this time is the city's approach to this building. Do we continue with, this is the way I'm just going to cut to the chase here, is the maintenance and repair of the windows and exterior doors, is that going to be treated as a maintenance item along with the roof, or is it going to be deferred to the design build team, not the roof, but the windows and the doors, as been proposed by Mr. King? Now I know, and I'll say this because I get to do this, the committee was Councilman King, Councilman Marchman, and then I think Mr. Dixon was there. I think Deborah was there. And at least from what I've read, there's a difference of opinion on the approach between the committee members, Mr. King and Mr. Marchman. And I'll leave that to them, to what they believe should be on this building. But as far as the Steinbach House, that's already being addressed. Okay, so I'm gonna allow the comments first from our committee members. And this item has been discussed already before council, but we're gonna clear the air right now. Mr. King.
To do this right, it's not just going and painting the wood, because there's wood that's rotted on these windows. There is sealant that's missing. It needs to be done right. It needs to be done quickly. We've already hired someone to do it. And again, the $1 million, in my mind, when we approved that, which was far less than what the estimate was, but that's not the remodel of this building. Most of that's going to be the stabilization of this building. You have to stabilize the exterior of this building before you move inside, starting to do the renovation of the inside and remodeling of the inside. So I think my understanding is that the design build team has been made aware of that. But I wouldn't do anything to this building until we spend a substantial amount of money stabilizing the exterior of this building, the ceilings and the walls. The exterior roof, not the ceilings, the exterior roof, the exterior walls, the windows, everything on the outside needs to be done correctly. And just going and slapping some, I respectfully disagree with Bob, is that just slapping paint on the outside, because you can go in here and just stick your finger right through the wood, and painting an outside on it isn't going to help. And a shame, if it's not a shame, but we've spent a lot of money recently with this, what was it, 10 years ago, with the Texas Historic Commission gave a grant. And unfortunately, it's this pine wood that's used in these brand new windows on some of these. And I still remember Willem Nicole, with the cabinet maker. He's the one who did the pearl. When he came in here and talked to the Historic Commission related to the building next door, the upstairs to that's now the engineering offices up there and elevated. He said, no, use this same wood. This wood's 200 years old, 100 years old. This new pooey wood that we now grow in 5 years, it deteriorates. So you need to, but he said, that's the problem. Well, when you're rebuilding windows, and this is what Texas Historic Commission told us, but really we need to use better wood. And there is good wood out there that doesn't deteriorate as much. But then, just like you did with the streets, you need to stay on top of it. And Bob, I know the right now, the pole barn at Steinbach House, it is working the way it's supposed to. And if you look at it, yes, the rainwater sheets flows off from those tile things. But we have a building over here at the Living History Center that was put up in the 1870s. And some of that wood just went to crap in a handbasket, but some of it is also, a lot of the ones, the cypress logs, are still really as good as the day they were built. My opinion is, just like the mayor said, Steinbach House is underway. You have two different contractors that are giving prices to do it. They're ready to step forward and do that as soon as council approves that, which should happen soon. Don't have to do anything with the pole barn. This thing does need maintenance, but going out and hiring city crews or getting city crews to paint it, that's not what needs to be done. It needs to be done right, and then do a maintenance program going forward, in my opinion.
Mr. Marchman?
Yes, I disagree respectfully. I think when I saw Leroy with 4 or 5 buckets on his desk and around, we don't need to do that like that.
Excuse me, I just want to clarify one thing. I don't think anybody's opposed to doing the roof, because we have to do that. I think the issue of concern now comes down to the rest of the exterior of the building.
Right.
Okay, I just wanted to help clarify that some. Right. Okay, but yeah, you're right. Nobody should have to wear an umbrella inside a rain suit inside their desk.
We don't need to wait on the roof.
Right.
And two, the slapping of paint, I mean, if that's pine and it's rotten, we gotta rebuild it. I mean, nobody's saying we're gonna be lackadaisical in how we approach the maintenance of the building with the $1 million that we allocate. That's all I have to say on that.
Ms. Martinez, did you have anything?
No.
Mr. Murs?
Yeah. So just to clarify, the doors and windows on the Steinbach house are in progress.
The timbers.
They weren't included in the bid that y'all approved, but we are getting bids. We got a bid from the guy that y'all already approved. His number was a little on the high side. So we're getting another contractor to bid it, and essentially it'll come within the realm of not needing to go to council for approval. We'll get that done.
The Steinbach house is the doors, the windows, and the treatment of those timbers that 20 years ago Public Works went and did, but that's a different thing, putting a sealer on that versus fixing doors and windows. Mm-hmm. Doors and windows, you don't have staff qualified to do those.
Yeah.
But so they're working on that. Yes, sir.
And then
sorry.
I had a question for, so is redoing the roof already part of the design build process we have ongoing?
That's the whole that's if you go back and read the minutes of October of last year, this council, all of you, not a different council, this council directed staff to not do the roof, to wait and include it with the design build process, which is what we did. But then that hasn't made any progress, and because of the very apparent issues, we said we got to fix this roof, and so we're going back and fixing the roof. But really, because of the amount of money that's been allocated and the decisions that have yet to be made about what we are going to do with City Hall and what we're not going to do, I can't adequately answer the question, is it included or not? It could be included, but we're not going to be. Let's put it that way. We're going to take care of the roof, and we'll bring that back for action on May 12th.
Well, I guess so that was kind of leading into a second question, which is, can we get the roof redone faster as part of that process,
no,
or as its own thing that we start to?
Needs to be separated out.
Yeah, we've got enough quotes and bids now. We can get that approved on May 12th, and we'll start.
Okay.
ASAP. I'd like to
and then
lay out.
I had a question for Phil as well.
Go ahead.
If that's okay. Or
Yes,
unless you want.
Well, I just want to lay out
talk
what the
more
design
to
build.
what I was
So
saying.
what design, because we allocated $1 million, and that was far less than what they gave us as their estimates. I went back to them, as you may or may not remember, council. I said, well, we're going to have to kind of do this as an a la carte, and I'll have them prepare what major ticket items would cost: HVAC, electrical, windows, door. Like we listed
Elevator.
off some things, and so that's what they've done. They haven't done an exhaustive. They've just back of the napkin. Here's what an a la carte approach would look like, and their intention has been the last 3 meetings was to come to council and get some direction from council on what do we want to do with that $1 million? How much do you want to try to accomplish? What are your priorities? And they've prepared different options. That's still the plan, but we'll do that at a future meeting and probably in line with the CIP and budgetary discussions you all are planning on. We will try to line up that discussion.
Okay.
Meantime, our emphasis will be let's get the roof fixed. And then y'all can tell us what to do about the windows, doors, the exterior, the upstairs, all of that.
Okay. So then I had a question for
Sure.
Mr. King.
Go ahead.
When you said stabilize the outside of the building, when I hear stabilize a building, I'm thinking like underpinning the foundation. Is that what you're talking about, or are you talking about like the equivalent of repointing brick and like redoing the windows?
You're thinking about the envelope of the building.
It's the envelope of the building. Stabilizing the envelope of the building. It has nothing to do with the foundation. It's not.
So
it's
not
old
like
sham.
but motion stabilizing, but more condition stabilizing.
So I don't think it doesn't need to be rebuilt. It just needs to be rotted areas need to be taken out and replaced.
Plaster reappointed, cement
Plaster,
reapplied,
yes.
all that kind of stuff.
So just so in that just basically you're stabilizing the building to get it back to where it needs to be, so you don't have problems with it in the future.
Okay. And would it, and forgive me for being someone who's only owned his house for 5 years and hasn't done this yet, but is painting over the rotting wood, would that cause it to fall, like just for the month or two until we get to actually?
It's not a good practice.
Okay.
It's not a good practice.
I assume so, but
if you have rotted wood,
you need to replace it.
Take out the rotted wood, put new wood in it, and paint it.
Right.
There.
Yeah, if you can go push your finger in the wood, you need to replace the wood.
And if I could ask one more.
Yes, sir, please.
Mayor.
How long would it take before outside of the building work could get done under the design build contract? 60 days, 90 days?
About a year. No. Well, no, I think because you've already done the design build and you've already got the contractors, you'd be looking at an expedited time frame. They did lay that out. That is in your packet as far as just kind of really rough ideas, but I don't think there's anything longer than 6 months. But really, it kind of comes down to getting the direction from council on what you want to do. And as soon as we're able to do that, we can get the ball rolling on the contracts and like getting work done. But anyway, I understand there's other priorities. We want to get drainage, streets, like that's what I heard loud and clear. So we're trying to get those things running so that we can then focus on the things that
I think.
All right. So if I could just,
sure.
Sorry, I was trying to make sure I had the right information.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
So given that, I don't feel like we need to take action on this item on doors and windows tonight. Okay. I feel like that perhaps belongs as part of the larger project that's coming down the pipeline.
Okay.
I as far as streets and drainage, or we got to do this, we've got to do that. I think this is just underscoring that at the end of the day, we don't have the funds and the staff right now to do all the things that need to be done. And I hope you remember that when you get into the budget process in a month, in 2 months, is that there is more than we can do with the money we currently bring in and the staff we currently have.
Mr. Lee, did you have something else?
Yes. For the historically educated folks, more than myself, the windows have been replaced in this building already. These are not the original windows. And I think it was back in the late 80s, 90s, the windows were replaced because they were in bad shape. And this is right from Miss Romano's mouth. So her, I would believe. And of course, we spent between the upper and lower floors, at least $150,000 to redo them. And we took every effort to reuse every piece and part that was practical to reuse, including having pieces put into the windows to fill in the areas that were rotten. And no, you don't paint over rotten wood, but there are plenty of wood fillers that you remove the rot you can put in order to have a suitable base to paint on. One of the issues that I've had continually is we always use inexpensive paint, and it doesn't last but about 5 or so years, and it goes to pot. And a personal example: when I did my house, I used Sherwin-Williams Duration, had a lifetime warranty. Paint's been on there 25 years, and it's still in good shape.
But I don't think. I think that has to do with how you write your specs when you do your contractor on your materials. So that's a whole different issue. The issue we need to get back to here is are we going to hold the maintenance of this building to the development of the remodeling and combine that together, or are we going to move forward to that maintenance of? And I don't want to cut you short, but we all know the issues. We all know the issues of windows. So I'm actually looking for a motion or any action on what we want moving forward.
Can I ask one question first?
Sure.
Mr. King, do we have to replace? Is it possible to replace the windows with a window that has all the characteristics of these windows, but is synthetic?
I can answer that one. This building is under the historical preservation of the state of Texas. So that would be a question for the historical commission.
All right.
Well,
and I would say no.
Yeah, they would not allow it.
They would frown on it.
They want, you can replace the windows with newer modern windows as long as they look identical to this.
That's my point.
Wood.
And they would.
The emphasis is there are lots of different engineers and types of wood you can put in.
Windows, Bala windows.
Did I say it the right way?
But you could not.
Okay.
I don't know if this is what you're answering, Councilman Ely.
Well,
you could not put
that's fine.
aluminum.
Because
we did ask those questions
aluminum,
already, and there's aluminum that looks like wood, but
I understand.
I'll entertain a motion moving forward.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, sir.
I move to include the doors and windows and other external elements of the city hall in the larger design build options to be presented in May.
Absent the roof.
Absent the roof.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion made and second to use to include the maintenance, the exterior of windows and doors into the design build process as we move forward with the future remodel of City Hall. Oh,
and can I ask one clarifying question?
Yes.
Sorry. Are you gonna?
Well, I was gonna say that it's already included.
Right. Okay.
I know.
I mean,
Okay.
it's already
We should
included,
handle
and
it as
Scott
part of
says
this.
Right.
that
As part of that. Okay.
It's really
motion made and second.
I'd just like to ask a quick clarification.
Sure.
So you said you can get the roof done without, and that'll be under the amount that has to come back to council?
No, the roof will come back to us.
It will come back to council, but it'll be ready for May 12th. It wasn't ready for this meeting because we didn't have all the backup documentation I needed to get it in the packet.
Okay.
But I do have that today, so I know I'll have it ready for May 12th.
Yeah.
Okay.
To clarify, David, he had mentioned it was a Steinbach house repairs. They can do that without a hefty.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I was
Thank you.
referring
Okay. Motion made second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, all right. Let's move on to item E. Discussion appropriate action on directing a forensic audit of airport finances. Ms. Fifield, I have a paper for you that would you like to talk about it? You're welcome to come to the podium and say it. Let me. Sure, I just need you to speak up a little bit because she has to put you down as your name and address.
No, it has to be recorded
Can I take her the microphone?
if it works.
Yes, go ahead. No.
You
about people hearing online. That's the only reason.
You signed up,
Is
and
this
I
on?
want to make sure that while you're doing that, I know Mr. Lee has asked for this to be on here, but with the forensic audit at the airport, generally speaking, I'm not an attorney, but generally speaking, A forensic audit is tied to a activity associated with fraud, malfeasance, or misuse of public funds. And to my knowledge, there's been no accusation or complaint of that. So typically a forensic audit is used in court proceedings to support those claims. And so while it's a city council decision on how to proceed, this may be something better suited for discussions during our budget discussions on how much, if any, the city wants to continue to expand for an additional audit. Because my understanding, these are not inexpensive type audits. So anyway, go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, Karen Fifield, 805 Washington Street, Castroville. I have an opinion regarding the forensic audit of airport finances. Not only do I strongly suggest that that be done, I actually would like to see it expanded upon to include, okay, yes, you're right, malfeasance, misuse of public monies, all of that, you're right. But that's what a forensic audit does. It comes in to find out if those transgressions have been done. So I think since we've had so much trouble with the shady stuff that went on with the previous councils and stuff, I really think if we're going to do a forensic audit, we ought to do it from A to Z. From everybody that sat on council, made the decisions, had input into those decisions, had access to the paperwork all the way across the board, not just airport, but the whole shebang. If we're going to do it, let's do it right. And that way, then there's no questions, there's no rumors, there's no issues. Then everything will be above board. And you know what? I keep wanting to say that if we discovered something, okay, that could be tracked back, because we're a governmental entity, could we not get the Texas Rangers involved? And I'm not saying that lightly. I'm saying that because I know when Medina Valley EMS had that big old blow up, the Rangers were involved in that. So that's my opinion, because I truly think there was some shady money shuffling, deal making, backdoor, you scratch my back stuff going on that I truly believe the citizens have a right to know. And a forensic audit would do exactly that. Thank you.
Okay, I'll make a couple comments on. Okay, I'll make a couple comments on that really quick.
Well, she didn't clarify what. I mean, I know you said the whole city. I'm not sure what the subject
I
was.
understand. I'm going to address that really quick.
Well, I was going to write my minutes. Sorry.
She's asking that the forensic audit being requested for the airport be expanded for all the finances of the city, everything. Okay, so but I just wanted to clarify. I don't want to make an argument but I'm going to make a couple fact statements as far as I know. Again, a forensic audit is normally result from almost a criminal type complaint of fraud, misuse. There is none existing currently at this time that I'm aware of that the city has. The city does its regular audits. The city has, those are all public information. They're all set out there. So the question one has to ask, are we wanting to do something looking for we have a goal looking for a problem, because you give a forensic auditor the direction on what you're looking for versus just giving it an open book and saying do everything. So they're mission driven. So, and then just so you know, in 2006, the city did it was involved in a full forensic audit. So that's been done previously. I don't know what really honestly became of that. policies were changed, directions, because that was right around the time I retired from the city. But I'm going to leave that. I'm going to stop and leave it up to city council, and literally right quick. The idea at this time is for city council to decide not to relive all of our finances right here now, but to decide whether they want to proceed with the forensic audit at this time. So I would actually entertain a motion on how we want to proceed before we have a discussion.
Could we let Mr. Lee introduce his item before we do that?
I'd actually like to follow the rules and ask for a motion on this item, and then we can open for discussion.
I'd like to make a motion that we take no action on this because it's already been taken care of by the discussion last council meeting related to the airport. And so I think that's it. Basically, yes, my motion is we don't take action on this. I read, there's a lot of information, Bob, I understand, but my motion is that we don't take no action on this because I think these items were clarified and a path forward at our last council meeting.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and second to take no action on this due to this item being privileged discussion. And what I would like to also amend that motion to further any discussions on this during the time of budget, so we can, if it's so desired, then we can discuss the cost of it during the budget.
I will entertain that change.
I'm sorry, what was the amendment?
I'm asking him to amend his motion to include that it maybe come back before council during budget discussions so they can decide if they want to spend the funds moving forward on this type of a project.
So you're saying that the motion should be take no action, but also
at this time
take action in the budget cycle.
To bring this back to city council for discussion during budget times to decide if the city council wants to proceed, but no action at this time. So that's all I'm asking.
I would change the motion to say no action at this time.
Okay.
And that it can be readdressed at the city budget.
Maybe readdressed.
Maybe readdressed the city budget.
I can second that.
Well, I have to be amenable.
Oh,
right?
sorry.
Yes.
Sorry,
Would
David.
you be amenable to that?
I'll be amenable to that.
Okay, motion made and second. Now we're going to open it up for discussion. Councilman Lee.
Yes, I don't, as hopefully y'all read what I wrote there. And for the benefit of the audience, I was not assuming there was any, Ms. Fifield, this is for you. I was not assuming there was any purposeful wrongdoing on anybody's part at all. However, we don't really have an audit between the normal audit we have every year and something higher than that. And so if you want to dig into past transactions and if things went to the right places and so forth, you have to have something more than just the routine audit that we have. Also, as was discussed last week, the FAA is quite adamant about the ball fields getting fair market value for the non-aeronautical use. And the mayor and Mr. Dixon know this. The FAA does send out a compliance accomplishment letter. So when you have satisfied their compliance inspection tasking, they will basically let you know that. That has not happened. They basically feel there are open items here that have not been addressed. And so you saw in my thing here, we've had so many transactions over the last several years that several departments were associated in. The farmer's lease of the irrigated land was included in, trading of a truck for lease money for a hangar, and on and on and on. We've had quite a few stuff go on. The thing that really shocked me is when I came back on council, much to everyone's chagrin, I was told we had about $400,000 in money in the airport account to spend. And of course, that pretty much knocked me out of my chair right there. And when you go back and look at prior year budgets, what comes in and what goes out each year, not counting depreciation. They're pretty darn close to the same, pretty darn close to the same. And so normally we would finish a year between 25 and 50, $75,000 if we're lucky, okay, that we could take over to the next year. But when you go back just 3 or 4 or 5 years here, you see a couple $100,000 here, and the next year it goes up another 350,000 for the water lease. And all of a sudden we've got this ungodly amount of money in the airport account that just does not make sense. It just doesn't make sense based upon the history. There has not been that much change at the airport in order to have these tremendous increases in available funds. It doesn't add up. And so somewhere or another, I was desiring to have all that unwrapped, unfolded, and laid out and explained. But I, as a councilman, can't go to Mr. Dixon and say, here's what I want you to do. I want you to dig back X years, look at all the lease agreements, all the things we've done, all the joint purchases, the information given to the FAA that they asked for well maintenance, and we sent them maintenance on the water system and so forth. So that's why I said we need to basically clean all this up to the satisfaction of us that everything is good, and get credibility with the FAA, because in their letter back,
We need I'm sorry. We need to be focused on, do we approve, yes or no, a forensic audit?
Well, if you make a decision without information, you're not very smart.
But everybody has that information, and it's, if we're going to
No, they don't.
If we're going, but we're not going to relive the finances of the airport.
I understand that.
If we want to move forward with a forensic audit, yes. If we don't, no. So as far as I understand, and I know that the city has provided maybe not all the information that you're asking, but for example, today they provided multi-years worth of audit reports.
I haven't seen those.
Oh well, I'm sorry. I believe they were emailed today.
They should be in your inbox.
So,
well, they were late. I know he was working on them. He said he tried, but I haven't seen them.
I want to move forward on this thing as far as if we have for the forensic audit of the airport. Move forward with that. Please, let's just stick on that one.
I think I am.
Okay.
I think I am.
Well,
okay. We have the need to have a complete understanding of what's come in and what's gone out and what's been involved in that in order to give a good answer back to the FAA. They basically said until the compliance inspection stuff is completed, which essentially has to do with airport finances, that our ability to get future grants is in jeopardy. So,
could be in jeopardy.
I understand.
The word is could be in jeopardy.
I'm fairly familiar with that word.
Okay, it wasn't.
Could take out the trash, but
yeah, that's a
anyway,
difference between is or will be.
As I said, I'm not laying blame at anybody. I just said we needed to have a good, clean, soup to nuts review of everything that's going on out there financially to make sure everything is good, get in good stead back, answer the FAA and so forth. No, I don't think a forensic audit is the right thing to do, but I don't know anything between that level and the standard audit we do. And our auditor said she didn't feel qualified.
Okay.
So that's my spiel, and go for it.
Thank you. Mr. Marchman?
It seems like we spend an inordinate amount of time here considering the citizens of Castroville. And respectfully, Mr. Lee, if you would spend half as much time on your constituents and district.
No. We're not going to go there.
All right.
Let's stay on the subject of the forensic audit. Yes or no?
No.
Any other comments concerning the forensic audit? Okay, Mr. Mers, go ahead.
Sorry, it sounded like you were about to ask for a vote.
I was going to ask Ms. Martinez,
okay, then I will wait. I can.
Ms. Martinez.
I like the idea of waiting until the budget. That way we can have it. Leroy should be able to provide us a line by line of transactions, transfers in, transfers out. And then based off of that, if we're still not having all of our answers provided, then we can trigger maybe looking at hiring a company to come in and do an audit of the airport finances to see where we're dropping the ball.
I think it's very important. I'm just going to add one thing real quick. I think it's very important that we all fully understand what's going on with not only the airport finances, but every funds of the city. is particularly to the airport. And there's a lot of things that go on out there. And I will say this with Bob, that maybe not or as clear as they can be. For example, yesterday I signed a transfer document for a $220,000 expenditure on the airport fund. And what is that? It pays for a debt service payment. So it comes out of that fund so the city can pay a debt service. But everything needs to be accounted for. I agree with that. But moving forward, Mr. Merce.
Sorry, throat was really dry there for a second.
Okay.
Wow.
I caught you off guard.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm having trouble breathing, apparently. There's been a lot of confusion over the airport and its finances and what belongs to whom and what counts for what.
Sure.
And I absolutely believe Leroy will give us the actual ledger books from the accounts at the bank if you ask for it. I think he'll give those to you. The trouble is that we are not like the people sitting up here. So I guess it won't be me, but the people sitting up here, for the most part, aren't actually qualified to comb through that and see if everything's right. Because if we could do that, we would have been doing it.
Sure.
And so, and in particular, versus you having to look at it during the budget process, be confused by it, and go for an auditor, it feels like it'd be better to get an auditor now so that you're starting to get answers before the end of the budget process to make changes if you need to.
Well, I want to make one thing clear. When the city does an annual audit, okay, they audit everything the city has, be it the general fund, which is government accounting, be it the enterprise fund as the utility system, be it the enterprise fund, which is known as the airport fund. Mm. So the auditor goes through all of that. They're not a forensic auditor, but they go through to check government accounting practices. And the fact is that the city is following and meeting its obligations under the grant assurances. That's part of the audit. And that's done on an annual basis. So this type of audit is typically, again, I'm back to when there's a claim of problems that you hire the specialty ones to go literally dig more in depth. That's my understanding of what a forensic audit is. So that's something that, excuse me, ma'am, that's something, I'm not trying to hide a thing, but that's something we could talk about during budget, because I will tell you, my understanding is the forensic audit that I'm familiar with could theoretically cost as much as $50,000. Okay, so that's a cost to the city to do that. Now, if you find problems, that could be justified. I understand that, but you need to have a cause to go after that. That's my opinion.
Well,
yes, sir.
I have a comment and then a question for staff. So the first comment is that there have been things that came up that we've been doing wrong.
Okay.
And as Mr. Lee pointed out, they're not ready to say we're in the clear yet. And so my question for staff is just, would this $50,000 be coming out of the airport fund or the general fund?
Oh, airport. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I wanted to know for certain, because in the agenda report, it doesn't actually say funding impact or source of funds. So I wanted to ask, this would come out of the airport fund. Okay. And then
I don't want to belabor this too much, but I understand. So we did send, it sounds like Councilman Lee didn't receive what was sent to him, but what he spoke with, I'm putting words in your mouth, but this is what was transmitted to me, Councilman Lee, but spoke with Leroy this morning, made a request for the cash flows in the airport. Those are in the audits. He asked for the last 5 or 6 years. We sent him from 21 to 25 for those audit years. You can look at pages 24 and 25 it's pretty consistent in the audit books, that they land in about the same place. But you will see that the proprietary funds, it'll be the utility fund and the airport fund separately. The airport fund is in a separate column, and it'll show cash flows in both of those. Right. And what you'll see in what we sent Councilman Lee, I say we, what Leroy sent him, and I will forward this to all the council so that you also have the same information. We highlighted a couple different areas. One was the construction, the capital expenditures over those same years. So you could see, because that's really where a lot of the change happens. When we did the fence project, USDA project, that's where you see big numbers going back and forth. And then we highlighted the cash balance, the cash and equivalence balance at the end of the year, which is essentially your bank account. I can understand if you've been away from the city for a while and you kind of are used to the airport operating the way it does. You look at the budget and how the revenues expenditures typically flow at the airport, that you say, geez, that seems like a lot of money. But the fact of the matter is, back in 2021, they had a fund balance of $151,000. That fund balance went up and down during the construction process as we used funds and then repaid ourselves back with USDO loan on funds that were paid for by the loan to reimburse that fund balance. That took place then. So if you're on a glide path for the past 5 years, if all things have been equal and normal, you'd be about between 350 and 450,000. That would be your average fund balance, just everything being normal, starting at 151 5 years ago and today. The reason it's at 750 is because something extraordinary happened. You did a 10-year lease in the middle of all that. That flow of funds came in. It elevated to 750. So it is explainable. There's nothing goofy. We have clear audits.
One of the other things that's very important, and I don't want to go on a financial thing. I just want to make a general statement here. Government accounting practices require, as we get a grant, it's shown as income. As we expend it, it's an expense. So and the airport gets a lot of grants, a lot of ramp grants. So all of those come in as incomes and expenses, and that number can fluctuate a lot. But yes, as far as tracking it, we have accounting with that. We have that all in there. I believe this is something as the motion is, that we could talk about this during a budget. We don't need to go anymore.
I'll make one more recommendation.
Yeah.
And that's just for the future discussion, like you're just saying. What I would recommend, if this is a serious concern, is when we have the audit, have the auditor out. One, we could either have a presentation by her on just airport finances. I would recommend that with the new council. You'll have 3 new folks.
Sure.
So they can hear about that. And the other thing is, when the audit's ongoing, you can say, look, we would like the airport to get a deeper dive, not a forensic audit, but explain these aspects if you feel like there's anything that still isn't understood.
I think everybody needs to understand, the auditors work for this council. They do not work for a staff member. They do not work for the city administrator. They work for the council. So they get their direction and guidance from the council. So that's very important during an audit. If the council says, I want you to specifically look at this, then that's the direction they have. So those are the times to pick things through and do stuff like that. So anyhow, I have a motion.
I'd like to withdraw my second.
To Scott, during the budgeting thing, are we going to have a plan of attack on how to pay for the fair market value of the baseball fields to the airport when we're doing the budgeting process?
We can talk about that in the budget.
Okay.
That'll be,
We can talk about that in the budget.
Okay, I just don't want that to fall off the radar.
Yeah,
All right.
That's definitely not going to fall.
David withdrew his second.
I don't know if we can. I have a motion on the floor. It's,
Pretty sure I can withdraw my second at any time, Mr. Mayor.
huh?
We did.
He withdrew his second, so if Sheena
I'll
wants,
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor right now to postpone any further action on this item and defer it to our budget discussions at a later date to decide if council wants to proceed with this. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries 3-2. Thank you. All right, let's move on to item F. Consider and take appropriate action on adopting an ordinance canceling the election for council position for District 3 and declaring unopposed candidate Nicole Schreiner as District 3 council member.
I'd like to make a motion as read.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'd like to second.
Well, I think we got one
Houston.
right here. We have a motion.
Okay, hold on.
Wait, I'm still trying to write the last one because y'all withdrew.
We have a,
Changed.
okay, we have a motion. You okay on this one?
Hang on.
Yeah,
One second. I'm so sorry.
This motion
You
has-
take it, Dave.
That's your
Okay,
last
and
one.
who do we have doing what?
Phil made.
We have a motion by Councilman King and a seconded by Councilman Mers
Okay.
to adopt the ordinance canceling the election for council position, District 3, declaring unopposed candidate Nicole Schreiner as District 3 council member. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries.
Congratulations, Nicole.
Ms. Schreiner, on excuse me,
Right.
actually, the election, because his term expires on the election day, and then we'll move you in.
No.
No.
She will be sworn in May 12th, just like everybody else.
We'll move you
Sorry.
in. We'll take care of that. Trust me.
Because she's not able to as a general law city.
I know what the rules are in a general law city, and we'll make it work.
But we're still council people till the beginning of that meeting, right?
Sure.
Yes.
You're council people until the election is canvassed and the members are sworn in. That's
Right,
what your
which is
council
at the
members are.
beginning of next week.
Because you're a general law city, they could not take office before that, except that Friday before only. Because we have a different set of rules.
In a type A general law city, canvass has to happen between 3 and 10 days, and they take office between 5 and 11 days. So we'll make that work. We'll figure that out. All right. Discussion on future agenda items.
In this item, I would like to recap the actions that were taken during this meeting.
Sure.
Okay. I think we start on page 2. Development agreement, we've been given instruction there. Discussion of appropriate action on the drainage plan. There was no action taken. Staff will continue to move forward and we'll keep pressing and not just do it this one time, but move on. Discussion of appropriate action on the HA5 that was approved. I'm just going to let you all know that is not likely to see, like your public, your constituents won't see any progress on that until after May 12th. That's just how that's going to happen. So,
you can get a lot of good done if you don't care who gets the credit.
Yeah, that's right. I am, mainly that's so that we can have that discussion on the 12th. That ILA is being approved on consent by Bernie tonight. It may already be approved as of right now. The next item was discussion of appropriate action on the condition survey of Steinbach House. The motion was to include the doors and windows and exterior in the design build process that will be discussed during budget or at a later meeting.
Steinbach House or here?
Steinbach House is
This
working
was
on
City
it.
Hall. That
Yeah,
was
you
the
said
person to see it.
Steinbach
I know.
House.
I was reading the motion and stopped reading the item. But that was reference to City Hall. Steinbach Group, we don't need a motion on because we're already doing stuff there. Discussion appropriate on the forensic audit. The motion there was no action, but may bring back during budget.
That's correct.
Last time was consider and take appropriate action on adopting the ordinance canceling election, and that was all in favor, and it was done. Those are the items for future agendas. Only like 2.
Sounds good.
Anybody else? Future items?
We can work on that when the time comes. All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Really?
What time?
All opposed?
Nay.
Nay. 8:30 p.m. This meeting is over.
Thank you all.
Thank you.